Once upon a time, in a village called Oguzu, lived a man named Ikenga. He had spent most of his years struggling, moving from one business idea to another, yet nothing seemed to work. He envied the men who drove luxurious cars, lived in sprawling mansions, and never had to worry about their next meal. He had grown tired of poverty and was desperate for a breakthrough. One evening, he sat in a beer parlor, drowning in his frustrations in bottles of cheap beer, when an old friend, Kosi, walked in. Unlike Ikenga, Kosi had transformed from a struggling man into an overnight millionaire. His wrists glistened with an expensive Rolex, and the way he tipped the bartender with mint naira notes made Ikenga's mouth water. "Omo, how you take blow like this?" Ikenga asked, leaning in with curiosity. Kosi laughed, his eyes scanning the room before he whispered, "There are ways, my brother, but you must be ready to pay the price." Desperation clouded Ikenga's reasoning. He begged Kosi to introduce him to the source of his wealth. After much hesitation, Kosi agreed, but warned him, "Once you enter, there is no going back. The wealth comes, but the conditions are not easy." That night, Kosi took Ikenga on a long drive outside Oguzu, deep into the thick forest of Amala village. They arrived at a shrine that looked like its walls were going to fall apart at the least touch. Its surroundings were eerie and unsettling. The air was thick with the smell of blood and burning incense. An old man with a hunched back, with eyes black as coal, emerged from the shadows. "You seek wealth?" The priest's voice was hoarse and almost inhuman. "Yes, Baba," Ikenga answered, his heart pounding. The priest studied him before handing him a small calabash filled with thick black liquid. "Drink," he commanded. Ikenga hesitated, but the hunger for wealth pushed him forward. He drank, feeling an instant burning sensation crawl through his veins. The world around him spun, and before he knew it, he collapsed. He heard the priest's voice whisper, "The price has been set." When Ikenga woke up, he was in his tiny self-contained apartment. But something was different. His phone rang, a strange number showing on the screen. "Check your account," a voice said as he answered the call, and before he could say anything, the call ended. He fumbled to open his banking app. His hands trembled. His account, which previously had a miserable 2,000 naira, now displayed 300 million. He screamed in disbelief and joy. He laughed, he cried, he ran outside and screamed at the top of his lungs. It had worked. The first thing he did was move out of his shabby apartment and into one of the most expensive 3-bedroom apartments in one of the high-rise estates in the city. He immediately bought a car, as he believed a man of his current status should not be jumping buses and kekes. He threw parties, splurging money on the women at the club, and indulged in a life he had only dreamt of. People began to question the source of his wealth. Some believed his days of hustling had finally paid off. However, many others believed he had indulged in evil practices. Ikenga could care less what anybody thought. After all, everything in his life seemed perfectly fine and in great condition. But soon, the conditions began to unfold. One night, a figure appeared in his bedroom, standing at the foot of his bed. Its voice echoed in the room. "Do not give to charity. Do not help family. Violate and you will suffer." Fear gripped Ikenga. He nodded, unable to speak as he watched the figure disappear. He began following the rules diligently, but problems arose. His mother called, begging for help with medical bills. His younger brother needed school fees. He ignored all of them. People started whispering, wondering why a man with so much wealth refused to help even his own blood. His guilt grew, but he dared not defy the entity if he wanted to stay rich, and he enjoyed staying rich more than his previous state. Then, one night, a desperate cousin broke into his house, crying for help. Ikenga, moved with pity, handed him a stack of money. The moment the notes left his hand, the lights in his house flickered, the air grew cold, and a deep voice whispered, "You have broken the rule." That night, his body was covered in deep, painful cuts, as though invisible claws had ripped into his flesh. He barely survived. The message was clear: no charity, no kindness. Days later, he received another call, the caller ID unknown. "The final price must be paid," the same voice said. Ikenga was summoned back to the shrine. This time, the priest's face bore a knowing smile. "Your wealth will not last unless you offer what you love most." Terror filled Ikenga's heart. This was his biggest fear. "What do you mean?" He had been so excited that the conditions he was given earlier were doable and things he could live with. Now this? The priest stepped aside, revealing a freshly dug pit. Inside lay a single human skull. "A life must be given to sustain the fortune. Choose wisely." Ikenga's mind raced. Who did he love the most? His mother? His younger brother? He tried to protest, but the priest's voice grew sharp. "The spirits are waiting. If you do not give, they will take." Ikenga left the shrine in torment. Kosi never told him that he had to make any human sacrifice. Days passed, and he tried to ignore the demand. Then one night, he received a call from an unknown number. "Your mother is sick," the voice said. Panicked, he rushed to her house only to find her coughing blood. The doctors were baffled. There was no medical condition. The spirits had finally chosen for him. Ikenga held his mother's hand as she gasped for breath, her eyes filled with confusion and betrayal. The moment she took her last breath, his phone dinged. Another 300 million had been deposited into his account. He had paid the price. But the nightmares worsened. He saw her face in every reflection, her eyes staring accusingly. Shadows followed him, whispering he could not escape his guilt nor the spirits that now owned his soul. One night, he received the final call. "The time is near," the voice said. "Prepare yourself." Ikenga knew what that meant. He had seen others disappear. Kosi was now nowhere to be found. The wealth, the luxury, it had all come at a terrible cost. Why had he not been comfortable with what he had? He wondered to himself. His quest for money had led him down a path he couldn't now turn back from. Desperate to escape his fate, he returned to the shrine, pleading to the priest to undo the ritual. "There is no reversal," the old man said. "The spirits have taken what is theirs." In a final act of defiance, Ikenga tried to run. He bought a plane ticket, intending to flee the country. But as he boarded the plane, his vision blurred. The last thing he saw was the face of a shadowy figure grinning at him. He never made it to his destination. Reports later came he had suffered a heart attack mid-flight, but those who knew the truth whispered that the spirits had come to claim what was owed. His wealth remained untouched, frozen in accounts no one could access. His luxurious apartment sat abandoned, with whispers of eerie sounds echoing through its halls at night. Some say his shadow still lingers, doomed to wander forever, searching for an escape from a price he could never repay. The price of dark wealth is never free, it always collects its due.
Thank you for watching to the end. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more. Bye, guys.